Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and today I'm going to work on a reel that John sent in. Happens to be one of the reels that I like an awful lot. This is a Daiwa GS Gold Series 20, and he said that, well, two things. He said the anti-reverse is not working. Okay, noted. He said he didn't know how to take the handle off, so he wasn't even going to get started. So we'll do this video two ways. We'll show you how to take the handle off, and let's see if we can't fix that problem with the anti-reverse on a very beautiful Daiwa Gold Series 20. And as we do that, we'll service the entire reel so that, well, if you're playing along at home and you want to see how that reel gets serviced, we'll do just that. This is a Japanese-made reel. I believe it's the early 1980s that this was produced. And to those of you wondering how to get the handle off, it all starts on the opposite side of the reel by removing this screw. This is a through handle. It goes through the main gear, and well, we should be able to pull it out just like that, John. So if you're watching, that's how you do it, and make a note for future reference when you go to service this reel. Okay, this reel has 3 side plate screws. They're Phillips head screws, and that'll be the next piece that we remove. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to get started with a flat blade actually, because it seems to be easier for me. While we're doing that, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel if you do like to learn about fishing reel service and repair. If you like to learn how to do it yourself, that's kind of what I'm trying to do here in Second Chance Tackle. I want to transfer what I know to you so that you can become adept at it and, well, not afraid of servicing your own reels. And sometimes it's as simple as that, learning that first step, just learning how to take the handle off, and the rest kind of comes naturally. Sometimes they're more intricate, and maybe that lesson that you learn from that is that, well, maybe it's something you don't want to tackle yet. Maybe you want to have somebody who's in the service and repair business do that for you. Well, whatever, it's all valuable, and that's what we try to do here. This is a 3-ball bearing reel. We remove the 3 screws. We should be able to remove the side plate. There's a main gear, and there's a crosswind block underneath. Usually what you want to do is remove that crosswind block next. Now you can remove the axle shaft with or without the spool being attached. So when I take my pieces and parts off, they go into a parts tray. I use that to keep the parts all organized. And well, I recommend that you have a part strategy regardless of what your part strategy is. There's many ways to organize the pieces and parts that you take off, and well, whichever one you choose, make sure it's the one that's right for you and that you use it and know what you're going to do with it before you ever start. Okay, we've removed the crosswind block and the crosswind gear, which came out when we pulled the axle shaft out with the spool attached. And we're going to service that axle shaft in a bit. We'll get into the drag washers and that. So we can take it off at this point. And we can take that axle shaft, clean that up, put that in the parts tray. These are big enough that if I let them off to the side, I'm not going to lose them. Next up then, we want to remove the main gear. And notice on your main gear that you do have a shim washer here that is controlling it, and we also have a replaced bearing here, so all good. These are rubber sealed bearings. That's how I know they've been replaced. Let's put that on the side for a moment. I thought I noticed that on the other side of the case as well. One more nut that we want to remove, and this is going to show us what's going on with that anti-reverse. The anti-reverse is upstairs. It's underneath the rotor, and I'm going to use a deep set ratchet for this. You don't need the deep set for this particular one because you can probably work the open end wrench over the lip, but it's just convenient that I happen to have that nearby, and if I have it nearby, don't need to reach for other tools. There is a shim washer under here, just note that. And here is your anti-reverse. And your anti-reverse is the old style finger dog. And I'm just hopeful that it's not broken off to the point where it can't work. So generally what happens with the old style finger dogs is that they separate from use. There's a high and a low one here, and generally you can pinch them back together again to make them work, but I'm fearful here that that one finger may be damaged. We're going to see. You're going to remove your tie down screw for your anti-reverse dog, and then we can pull up on our ratchet. And the dog. Just pull it until it comes off. And while we're servicing the reel, I'm going to take a picture here. And with that picture complete, we will pull that bearing. Let's take a look. Yeah, so what I was mentioning is this is a friction-driven finger anti-reverse dog. And over time, just from it running through here all the time, it just loosens up. You can see it's not grabbing this at all. Now you don't want to bring them all together, but generally I'll just take a little pliers. I'll start at the top and just pinch down a couple of times. And that will close the gap on this. It's a spring metal. Now you don't want to close it all the way, but you do want it tighter, and you can see how it's closed in. And believe it or not, that's going to run for a very long time, just like that, before it kind of goes back to failing again. But parts on these reels are no longer available, and those finger pieces in particular. So it's a good thing to know that you can do that. All right, let's leave those three right there as well. We're going to take the moment here to remove the collar. First thing you want to do is take a picture. This is the collar holding down your bearing and your pinion gear. And you want to note right here that this is not a symmetrical case. There is a bump out here, just there, and it's to about 1 o'clock on the clock if you're setting it from 12 noon being up here. Let's take those three pieces off. You also want to note what the spring setup is on this anti-reverse override lever, just in case you pop it off. So this is a good place to take a picture. Take a picture with any image capture device that you have. You can use your iPad or tablet. You can use your cell phone, digital camera. I'm taking pictures here, of course. I'm using a camera and a video side of it, just in case. Of course, this is for your entertainment, but don't think that I don't go back every now and then and look at the video I've taken because something has gone amiss. All right, well, I'm accumulating too many pieces and parts on my table now, so I'm going to take the ratchet, dog, and tie-down screw, put those into a corner of my parts tray. I'm going to take that collar and the three screws, put them in another spot, and we should just be able to pull out, up and out on this one. And this one's being a little stubborn, so one of the things that you can do if you have a stubborn one, do two things. Kind of flood the outside of the bearing. And this happens with metal-faced reels in particular. You find yourself with the outside of the bearing getting stuck to the metal walls. So simply take your rotor once the collar is off. Rethread the screw, or the nut here. There we go, took a little while. Rethread that, and then just use this as an anchor point, a bigger knob, if you will, to give you the leverage you need to pull it off, like that. It's funny, you know, sometimes it's just all in the grip, isn't it? I guess that's what a baseball player would tell you about the curveball. All right. All right, well, we have all of that, so we're going to do our best to clean and service this reel. We told you that would be part of it, and in addition to it, a little exercise in how to go fix that anti-reverse dog. I'll pull through on it. I'm getting all the old dirt and grease out of there. There's a lot that's burning off there. That one doesn't seem to be, it seems to be like there's some dried grease in there, so I'm going to step it up to a wire brush to pull through. And if you're getting the sense that you still don't have it, that you have stubborn grease, I don't get that sense anymore. It's clean, it's just tarnished now. But go ahead and take like a micro screwdriver and pull it through the valleys this way. That will also help you. What you want to make sure is you check the teeth. Make sure they're all symmetrical and that they're all cleaned. And you want to make sure that there's no damage to them. If there's damage, of course, you're going to need to replace it. When you go to reassemble, make sure that you use a fishing wheel grease. I'm using Pen Precision wheel grease for this. I don't find much variation in the fishing wheel greases that are available. Of course, most manufacturers have a grease with their name on it. Most manufacturers have somebody make that grease for them. In this case, I like the Pen Precision wheel grease because, well, it comes in the pound containers. All right, I'm going to oil that bearing, put the bearing back on, and then we'll do a little bit of cleanup here. So much of your fish wheel service and repair is about cleaning, checking, inspecting, and lubricating and reinstalling. There you go. All right, we look good there. Take that off. Pull that back bearing from the main gear. We'll put that in next. Do the same thing with that. I oil the bearings. I don't grease them. We'll take that. Next up then would be our crosswind gear. I think what we'll do is to move back to the top here. I got too many pieces and segments going on here, so let's go back and put that pinion gear in. Find the collar. Remember what we said about the collar. It's over at 1 o'clock here from the orientation. Let's bring that on. And we have 3 of these screws, and those of you that know me in little screws know this may be an adventure, at least getting that first one started. You need to align them, and always that first hole alignment, and me not having very good grip generally makes it fun in a sarcastic kind of way. Now, while I'm doing this, if you have any questions, this is always a good time to ask you to ask the questions because, well, I just stumble, but I don't stop. And I do try to show you these things may happen to you. It's not a perfect world out there. And, well, things get dropped, things get lost, things get whatever. Now, I'm going to try a little device that I found. It tells me that I can use this for the Phillips head screws. It's a Phillips head screw starter. I'll give this one a try. I haven't had a lot of luck with Phillips head screw starters. This one's magnetic. Also has a couple of points to hold it with. Yeah. So, not the biggest fan of it, but I guess what I did was incorrect there. You want to set it in, pull it back to let the spring load it. That's better. You generally find these screw starters on hobby sites and the like. Let's try that again. That one actually went in nice. You bring it in to help you load. What I was doing, of course, was going the other way. You pull it out to let the spring separate and hold. Looks like we can go 2 for 2. All right, I like that. One more time, push down, load it, pull back up on it, put that one in. Somebody directed me, I forget exactly where I got this from. I believe it was some kind of radio RC car site. But if you're interested, I'll see if I can find out who made it. There's no designation on that itself, but I'll give that credit because, well, I struggle with these as I noted. All right, that's back on. Put the rotor back on. We're going to check this. This rotor has what I refer to as a bang bail. It's a bail that does not have an internal trip mechanism to it. Rather, it simply slams against the back post on the case here. That's why that's covered with the black plastic. And well, that's the fail-safe to this. Alright, let's take our newly reconditioned finger, set our anti-reverse. The anti-reverse centers over this threaded hole. After you set the ratchet, onto your pinion gear. Let's find the other one. And just because we used the screw starter on the other one, I don't need it for this, but I'm going to show you the flat-bladed screwdriver screw starter. To me, that one's always a lot easier. This is a two-step on the screw, so make sure that you get the screw all the way through and that the shoulder is seated for that anti-reverse torque. Let's see if we fix that anti-reverse issue. When you're turning it this way, it falls out. When you go to anti-reverse now, we didn't. So I think what happened here is there's not enough there to hold it. I think we've worn that out. So a way to do that is just simply build up the back here so that more of it remains on and can pull in. So what I'm going to do here is just grab a little piece of some kind of backing and see if we can't push that out a little bit to hold that extra distance there. Okay, here's what I'm going to try. I'm going to try heat shrink tubing. We'll see if this can work. I'll bring the heat shrink over. It shrinks very quickly, right? And this is typically available for electronics. I'm going to double this up, although I think, yeah, that's enough, right? It's just giving us a little bit of a bump there to do that. But it looks like I have a little bit of room, so I'm going to double that up, just on the side of caution, right? We'll put a second one in here. See if we can't do that again. Sometimes you got to get a little creative. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to use that. Now, typically I would use that heat shrink for like eyelets on a rod or something. But in this case, we're just building enough of a cushion here that should work for us. I'm happy with that. And it doesn't seem to interfere with the back end here. So I think that'll solve the issue that John has been experiencing. So let's go ahead and put the rotor back on. Put that shim washer back on. That's a lockdown for your rotor nut. And I'll put the rotor nut back on. And again, the lip on this one is not terrible, but boy, did we show you a few tricks today, didn't we? We showed you how to get the pinion gear out when you're having an issue with it. There you go. You want to make sure we're locking in there. And the issue was to use the rotor as a kind of a knob, an extended knob that will enable you to grab that pinion gear easier and remove that piece. Of course, you did see me soak that with some penetrating oil as well to help that work its way through. Now we'll put the cleaned and relubricated crosswind block back on. We'll grab the block. The gear is in, block goes on. Main gear is next. We want to clean up some of that old grease on there. So this reel has been serviced. That's the good news. I mean, for 30 years you would hope that it would be serviced. Somebody did replace the bearings at one point. All good. And this reel's got a lot of fishing left in it. As I mentioned, the problem is that finger jointed anti-reverse dog is no longer available, but I think we probably did enough there to keep this reel fishing for a long time to come. Put your main gear back in. Time to grab our axle shaft, just a light coating of grease there. Don't go crazy, it's only going to scrape off on the top if you put too much in there. Bring that in and thread it through the crossline block, and then make sure that you even up the hole in the center. And we can replace our screw here. We also showed you, I guess, the hold fasts, and then we're going to put the screws in as starters. The green one is indispensable to me. That Phillips head, I've had some issues with it. It worked in this case, so we'll keep it on the bench. All right, tighten that down. Time to put the side plate on, a little bit of oil onto that bearing. So these are rubber sealed bearings, but they do allow oil to get in. It's not watertight bearings or completely sealed. So put a drop of oil on there. That's all you need, is a drop. You don't need to flood it, but it will keep those bearings lubricated. And 2 more screws. We'll go over and take a look at the drag washers in this reel. We'll get it back to John. My bench is accumulating a lot of stuff. I guess it's time to clean it up. Sometimes you get involved in a reel and you just have so many tools you're using, particularly when you have to take a little detour like that heat gun. And, well, it leads to a lot of accumulated stuff near at hand, and sometimes you just have to reset. Generally, I like to reset after every reel that I do, just clean it back. I leave a few essential tools that I seem to use on every project near at hand, and the rest go back into their respective holding bins. Yes, I do have one big bin in front of me there that holds a lot of screwdrivers and pliers and the like. Whatever your organization is, that's what you need to play to. Don't copy anybody. Find the one that's most comfortable for you, because at the end of the day, you're the one that needs to be comfortable as you're doing the service, maintenance, and repair of your fishing reels. Tightening this up now. That'll attach the handle, which is kind of where we got started when John said, I don't know how to get the handle off. Now he knows how to get the handle off. All right, one more thing then. We'll take a look at the drag washers in this. The drag washers are held in with a 5-sided clip. You remove the clip. And I'm thinking we're going to see Teflon washers in here, but I'm never quite sure. Fishing them out with my little... Yeah, I think we have one more in there, 2 more in there. Okay. Yeah, we have the hard washers. They don't require anything. They're self-lubricating. In case you're playing at home, the first one is a thick red one. That goes in the base. Then we have 2 of these keyed washers, rectangular. First one is in, another hard washer. The eared washer, the one with the 2 points, goes in next. I'm cleaning these as I go along. And we have the last of the drag washers. Interestingly enough, I don't think this is not from the original one, because this has a D size to it. So I guess maybe they lost the top washer at one point. It's acceptable. It's going to be pressed down, so as long as it can hold, we're fine. Yeah, this one is rectangular. It doesn't have the D-shaped piece. That's okay. Work your way through to reset this. Let's tighten that back up, and we'll give it a go again. Okay, the glove is off. The reel is done. Let's see how we did. So what did we do? We took the reel off completely apart. There was a faulty anti-reverse dog. We showed you how to pinch that to close that, to restore some of the tension in it. And it should last quite some time. We showed you that it was a little bit short and worn on the tips, so we actually used some heat shrink tubing to build up the bump, and yet kept the clearance for your rotor. That bump pushed that anti-reverse dog in a little bit more, gave it a little bit more grab so that it can act properly in the anti-reverse. Explained to you about the bump bail. When it comes over, it's going to trip by hitting this little plastic end cap here. And we showed you the rest of the reel in terms of servicing it, cleaning it, reassembling it, and putting it back together. So let's give her a test. It's a beautiful reel. Turns nice and free and easy. You can test that bail. Nice click there. More importantly, is the anti-reverse working? Well, there you go. Works nice and easy and smooth. So that's it. That's how to take apart, clean, and service the 1980s Daiwa Gold Series 20, GS20, and how to keep it fishing for a long time to come. I hope you've enjoyed that. Before I leave, I want to thank our first responders, our police, fire, safety, rescue, everybody involved in keeping us out of harm's way. And again, I want to thank you, the viewers, for watching, for contributing to the channel, and for helping to make this channel what it's become. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing everybody a great day.